Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today we are looking at the AccountsAdvanced Charity and Academy EPAC release, epCA4.05.01. My name's Tom Jeffrey. I'm one of the Education and Media Technicians at CaseWare UK, and I'm joined by our Senior Education Media Consultant, Anthony Launchbury, and also our subject matter expert today is our Accounts Production Product Manager, Ashley Goldsmith. If we just jump to the next slide, then we'll have a look at some housekeeping. And as you can see there, if you wanted to submit your questions during the session, then you can do so using the question field in the GoToWebinar control panel. I'll see those and then I'll put those to the chaps as soon as I can. If we don't have a chance to answer those during the session, then we'll get back to you directly after the session. We'll also produce a Q&A document depending on how many questions we have, and that will accompany the recording of the webinar. We are recording, and that will be submitted, it'll be published, should I say, on the knowledge base, and the recording will also be on YouTube. You've also got the option there to ask any questions live via your microphone. If you wanted to do that, then you can use the hand raising feature on the control panel there. So that's the housekeeping out the way. I'll just hand over now to Tony and Ash, and we'll have a look at the agenda.
Thanks for the introduction there, Tom. Welcome everyone to the webinar. Hi there, Ash.
Hi Tony, how are we doing?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good. Let's get this agenda up then. All right, so the agenda should now be popping up on the screen. I'll just check. There we go. So this is what we're covering today when we're looking at the update for the EPAC. So we're looking at the key areas, really the audit report, the trustees report, but we're also going to be dipping into the other areas of the update that Ash and his team put together for you. Also be talking about the release notes that Ash provides, makes available, and also we're going to have a little discussion at the end and show you how to apply the updates and talk to you about CaseWare's recommended best practice, okay, and how we would suggest you adopt these updates, okay. So that's the agenda. As Tom suggested, okay, feel free to pose any questions. You've got Ash on the call today, so you may have a few burning questions that you want to send to his direction. So today's a great time to do so, so please feel free to send those across to us. Now, before we get going, just want to talk to you a little bit about the update, okay. Now, you can see on your screen here, this is a little extract from the knowledge base website, and we can see there that the update's available to AP and IT contacts. Now, AP contacts will be the key contact that we have of your company at CaseWare. Now, IT could be your internal IT or your external IT, however that's been set up. Now, the update has been available from March 2021. And as you can see, you can download it from kb.caseware.co.uk. So I was going to go through and just open that up quickly. Now, when we are looking at the updates, when we're working through the updates, what we need to have is a good understanding of what's included in them. Now, Ash does go through, he prepares the update for you, it provides notes and really to coincide with the release. Now I'm just logging onto the knowledge base now, and let's just get that loaded up so I can swing over and load it on the screen. Give me a second. It worked fine in practice, and on a live event, the loading symbol is continuing to load. Hopefully everyone's internet, it's all nice and clear your side. My internet connection is not causing anyone any issues. There we go. Now it's loaded. Excellent. So what you need to do, from the KB, if you load it up and then you get to it, so I'm not going to go through and load the actual update, but you can see over here on news and announcements, you can always see the latest releases, and for the people that are available, they have the download area as well. Now, when we're on here, what we can see is that you click for information, click here, and this is the release information that we see available on the knowledge base website. What you'll find is an exe format to go through and install on an individual standalone machine, or if you're an IT professional, you probably want the MSI format to make sure that rollout's a little bit smoother and quicker, and we also provide that down here, okay. Now, within the webinar, you should see within your GoToWebinar panel, whether you're using the application or the desktop application, what you should see is there's a handout section. Within the handout sections, Tom's gone through and provided the release notes. We're not going to go through and open them up here. I'm going to show you some extracts of the key areas that you need to know from this release, but make sure you can have access to this or if you think it's going to be useful to send onto your colleagues, because they probably won't have access to this page on the knowledge base, then make the PDF available to them. Okay, so that's the first thing, really, just letting you know where the release notes are and where to find them. Again, if anyone wants to link to that page on the knowledge base, let us know, and we'll put it into the chat field or put it into the Q&A notes at the end of the session. Okay, so there's the notes, and let's move on to the next slide. So first section I want to really focus on is the biggest changes really with EPAC, and I'm sure this is what a lot of you will be looking to get hands on, will be the changes to the audit report. Now, the changes we've developed within the Charity and the Academy template to keep in line with all the other AccountsAdvanced templates that we've got are now available from this EPAC, and they will follow the new ISAs. Ash, is there anything that you want to add there for the audit reports? And
Hi there. I mean, first thing perhaps to mention is that although we've made these changes applicable for periods commencing on or after the 15th of December, obviously if your period starts before that date, you will still see the previous wording. So it's not that your EPAC hasn't applied or your updates haven't worked on that particular file. So just make sure that you're looking at the right period end date, I guess, for those for the new audit report wording, and that's hopefully going to save a few support calls at least.
Yeah. Okay, so we've already thought about it, and it's going to be looking at the engagement year-end date, and it's only going to drive it into the accounts if it's relevant or not. Good. So hopefully that means it's a few steps less for the end user to apply on their own files. So on that point, then let's go. I'm going to take us into a couple files and let's look at those changes. So I'm just going to open those up, and what you should be seeing in a moment or two is a couple of case views open up. Hopefully that's nice and clear. Let me drag over the document maps on the left hand side. Thanks for that, Ash. So again, as Ash said, it's applicable on or after the 15th of December 2019, and CaseWare is only going to drive these changes into engagements where it's relevant. So first off, that's the key bit there. Now on the left hand side, you can see that the file's not had the updates applied, but the year end is 31st of March 2021, so it's definitely after that 15th of December. So those changes should be applied to this file, okay? And then we've got file 2 where the updates have been applied. So one file, then we should see the old style audit report, and the new file, we should see those new changes come in. So I mean, one thing that we probably want to know here is what are we expecting? What should we see changing within the audit report after the update? So when we're reviewing the files or preparing the files, we're making sure that the right audit report is there. So let's take you through those quickly. We're going to leave a few of the areas on the screen so you can have a couple minutes throughout to make sure you're comfortable with what the changes are and what's included within them. So let me just scroll down to the audit report. Now, the first one here, again, is spot the difference at the moment. Hopefully we can see there for the basis for opinion, there's a slight difference there. The first thing is that Ash and his team has built in some additional guidance. So provisions are available for audits of small entities. Okay, so these files are exactly the same here. We've also got a new note reference in here. This is allow us to reference the points within the accounts or to manually enter in our reference, either or. But underneath this, we've got a new emphasis of matter relating to applicable financial reporting framework section. So this is a new area that's been built in. We can simply check the box there, and that's going to provide us a user input area for us to enter that information. It's also got some handy guidance in there, so shift and return for inserting a line. I think a bit of guidance that all new users to CaseWare will be quite thankful of, to make sure they don't go to the wrong area like you could just see there. Also provisions available for audits here. If we open that up, you can see that there's a new bit of guidance there. Please tick to confirm. Again, I'll let you read that at the top. If you were to tick and then close, then that's going to build that extra area. There we go. So it's just updated that text for us. And now what we can see here is that note reference is now being utilized. And here we can see that new body of text that's been added in. And that note reference has already been adopted for us. And CaseWare has done the work and changed it to note 25. Perfect. All right, so that's the first area. So they're the first changes you're going to want to see. You're going to want to see this new help text. You're going to want to see the new checkbox for the emphasis of matter paragraph related to the applicable financial reporting framework. And if you don't see that, then you're going to need to make sure you take the knowledge library up. update. Okay, now as we scroll down, there's other key areas in here as well that have changed. Now let me just go through and activate my issue screen here just to navigate down to those a little bit quicker, and also just to highlight them on screen for you. So there we go. So here we go, let's click on this one here. So it's taking down to the conclusions relating to going concern. So that's got that red bracket around, which is linked to the issue side. Now, as I scroll down, and we'll do the same here on the left-hand side, conclusions, there we go. Try and keep it side by side. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit as well to make that easier on the eye. Go. No, that's going to be a little too much or too little, so I won't try that. Again, on the left-hand side here, we can see the difference. Again, it's quite visual. So I'm going to give you a moment to read through this by yourselves, just so you can see, read the changes. You'll be quicker in reading it than I'll be at saying it. So I'm just going to give you a quick moment to read that. Right, hopefully everyone's had time now to go through that. I'll leave it on the screen anyway for a moment. Simply what it's really doing there, it's going on to say, okay, rather than the onus being on the client saying that we're going concern, it's saying based upon the work that we've done as auditors. So the much more focus there on us as auditors rather than focusing on the clients. Okay, so that section here, again, it's quite clear, it's quite a visual change, this one on the left-hand side for the conclusions relating to going concern. Originally, on the old style report, we had those bullet points there. On the new style, over here, it's text paragraphs. Okay, you still get the emphasis of matter section underneath, exactly the same, but you can see it's quite visually different. So as when you're reviewing or as when you're preparing, make sure you're seeing what we can see on the right-hand side for any files that have that start date after the 15th of December. There's one more key change that I want to go through, so let's just jump down to there quickly as well, which is the auditor's responsibilities. I'm not going to get you to read the whole section because it hasn't entirely changed. And from most of you, you're seeing, okay, this is very similar up here. You're very familiar again with our objectives. If I just go down a little bit further there, you can see we've got a whole new paragraph here for looking at irregularities. So again, I was going to give you a quick moment to read through that. Okay, so again, what we're doing here is, I think it's a little taking the auditor's taking a little bit more responsibility within the statement here to say that they're doing sufficient work and saying, well, this is the work we're doing to make sure that we haven't got those irregularities and that there's no non-compliance with laws and regs. So it is in this enhancement. The user text section there is just the standard user text section, and you can add in as much detail as you need to. As you are all existing users of CaseWare, you know that these text sections will just expand and expand. Now, with that in mind, though, what you probably do want to consider is the need to use the keep together or turn the keep together off, depending on how the pagination looks. So just remember, you have got that option within the notes section of the toolbar to look at keep together as well, especially if this body becomes a little bit larger with the amount of detail that we enter into it. Okay, so that was the key changes really within the audit reports. Something for all you to keep a lookout for. When you're in your files, and we're going to talk about the updating your file later for the EPATs and what repercussions could be and what our best practice for, what our recommendations are for best practice. But simply within a note, if you are within a file and you know you need to update this, just as a quick tip, I'm already on tools here and you can see it on the right side, but you just want to go to a relevant section and click on section update. When you do that, it's going to open up the knowledge library window. I will give you the opportunity to open the knowledge library window, and there you'll be able to choose the knowledge libraries that you want to take. So you can see here there's quite a lot, but there's my audit report there. So just make sure we do take that update to the audit report. Otherwise, you're not going to be compliant with the new standards, okay? And following that guidance. Okie doke. So let's take you back into the slides now. Just want to see at this moment, Tom, are there any questions at all that have come in regarding the audit report? Anything that we wanted to stop and cover now?
Tony, sorry about the delay there. I was just trying to appear on the screen, albeit with a weird blue filter. So in terms of what we've been looking at so far, I think hopefully everyone has found that useful. We haven't got any questions coming in specifically relating to what we were just looking at. Okay. But we have had just a bit of feedback about the audio cutting out, but it seems to be okay at the moment. I'll let you know if there's any further issues.
Yeah, apologies, that might be my internet connection.
Tony, just one thing for me to mention about the audit reports. Towards the end, I think between your second and third paragraph that you demonstrated there is a paragraph, other information. Probably worth flagging up at this stage that in the next Charity Academy EPAC that we send out, there is a very slight revision to the other information paragraph. Okay. Which largely entails going from, I think, 2 paragraphs down to 1, and there's literally a few changes in wording, basically to match the Mercia sample which we received basically after we wrote the original specs for this. Obviously, we would have liked to try and wrap it all into the one EPAC update, but sometimes obviously the timings don't work out for us, and with the applicable date being as it was, 15th of December, we kind of have to have a cut-off at some point to get these reports out. So the next EPAC, the other information, I think, is just slightly up on your screen from where you are now. That will change slightly as well.
Let me take, okay, my screen's unpaused. Let me take the back. Okay, the other information, there we go. So this is the old stuff. So let me go into the updated version so everyone can see what the updated version is. And from there, then other information.
Yep, so that won't be showing as yet. That is coming in the next EPAC after this one. So be aware there will be another change, I'm afraid, another revision for the audit reports when that EPAC goes out. But
as you said, it's not the biggest of changes, but it's nice to get a sneak peek into what's coming as well. So thanks for that, Ash, and thanks, Tom. Excellent, super. So again, just because we're now moving on to the trustees, if anyone does have any questions about the audit report and wants to send those across, feel free to. Okay, so let's jump back into the slides quickly. Right, so hopefully you can now see a slide on the screen, or any second now. Okay, so this is, again, the audit report side. So moving on to the trustees, so we're not going to go into the file here. I was going to show you the key areas from Ash's notes on the screen. There's a lot of work that's happened in the trustees report, and I think Ash and his team have really focused on making the usability and making sure everything's working as it should be for users. I mean, that's been the real focus of this update. Whilst you're giving sneak peeks, Ash, into future developments, is there anything on the trustees report that you want to let the people know about?
Obviously we are at that time of year, I guess, where we're starting to think about the Academy reporting season. CaseWare have actually seen a draft of this year's AAD. Saw that a few weeks ago. I expect some of our clients have also seen that. So we're going to be starting to write our specs for this year's AAD changes shortly, and obviously that's likely to have some sort of an impact on the trustees report. Another thing perhaps to make people aware of, that 1 or 2 clients will be aware of this already, is we're looking to enhance the custom report functionality to make it a lot easier to basically embed an external document, such as a Word document, which you can do currently, but it is quite fiddly with regards to continuation headers and making sure that the size of the page works well. So we're looking to enhance that, not only for the trustees report, but generally for all reports, so you can basically insert a Word document instead of using the CaseWare standard. And we'll be looking to get that released probably towards the end of the summer this year.
Perfect. I think there's a lot of users out there for Charity Academy that will be very pleased to see that come and make their life easier, because as we know, trustees reports in practice is not always easy to replicate what the client wants, so that'd be definitely very welcome. Perfect, thanks for Ash. Moving on through these slides, to move on to the next one there, we've got some changes on SOFA and the cash flow statement there. The top one, I think, is the key one here. I wanted to highlight it really just to show and just to reinforce that we really do take your feedback seriously, and the suggestions and the guidance you give us. it does get adopted into the templates and used. So thank you very much for the feedback that provided there, and that's helped us to enhance the template. So that's the reports and on the cash flow side. So again, I'll just leave that on the screen just for a moment longer, just so you can have a quick scan through. Okay. All right, so the next slide then is going to be looking at notes and accounting policies. Again, just going to leave it on the screen for a couple of moments. I'm not going to go through and read it through all you. So just give it a quick scan there to see those changes that come in.
Also worth reiterating to everyone that if we're a bit quick changing the slides, don't panic, because it's all in the handout there that you can download from the control panel.
Here will be, yeah, excellent. Thank you, Tom. Again, feel free to take screen grabs, but as Tom said, that they will be available as well within the release notes that you can all get from that GoToWebinar panel. Excellent. So again, there's a few changes there, but the next one, again, we want to focus on a couple bits here because these are quite topical. So if you might see the little earmark here that we're putting, just the little asterisk on the left-hand side, operating lease commitments. So this is looking at rent concessions. Again, it's going to be very topical at the moment, and it's going to be applied to quite a lot of clients' files. So let's go into a CaseWare file just to show you how to activate this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just jump into a CaseWare file quickly. Now, within this file, I've already gone through and activated these, so you don't have to watch the wait time. So there we go. There we go. So I was going to load the screen now. So you should see it now loaded onto the accounts preparation table. Hopefully that's all there. Now, one of the bits that we have added in, obviously, the operating leases commitments. Now, there's an accounting policy and there's also a note disclosure. Now, what you'd want to do from the accounts prep table was activate these if necessary. Okay, so here you can see the overrides, the operating leases, and if I scroll down, what you're also going to see, there's not jumped a little bit there. Just wait for it to recalculate and execute a script, and I'll continue. There we go. So just scroll down there, and now we've got our commitment section where we've also got operating lease commitments. Now, when you're setting these up, first thing again, I'd say you can add in the accounts policy, add in a note. From the prep table, you can all load yourself into the correct place within the accounts by just double clicking on the note title. So clicking on operating leases there. That's going to take me through into the relevant section. Now, it's not going to be as quick as this when you do it because I've already built this into the file for demonstration purposes today. But as and when you see it get there, the accounts policy is there, but we've got this new section. So the temporary rent concessions occurring as a direct consequence of COVID-19. And to activate that, it's just a case of selecting the tick box. The tick box will override the skip condition, and then the text will turn from blue to black text and print out on your accounts. Now, as you can see here, the text is fully editable, so you can go through and build in as much detail or trim out as much as you need to within those sections. But CaseWare thought, well, we'll get this built in for you, ready for you to adopt if necessary, okay, or if relevant. Now, from this point as well, from operating leases, again, we need to take a look at the note. So let's scroll down to the operating leases commitments note. And what you can see there is, again, it doesn't look hugely different at this stage because I haven't activated or looked at the guidance. You can see it down here, that help text box, COVID-19 related rent concessions. It's quite easy access, and just to turn on by the question mark, that tells you the guidance, gives you a little bit of background about what we're doing here. And then to activate the table, down below you've got the following lease and payments, and there's a checkbox. Select the checkbox. Once that's selected, we will then have a table to go through and enter in the information relating to rent concessions. Okay. Again, it's a simple case of entering that into the blue cell. Now, one of the things here that you may need to be looking at, well, if you haven't got, remember you can change skip conditions on totals from using the toolbar functionality. So if you are only having one there, to make sure you use that functionality on the toolbar to hide subtotals if you don't want a subtotal of that individual row. All right, so with that said then, that's the key areas that I wanted to go through and show you from the EPAC update. As said, you can find all of the other changes back within the release notes. They're not that large. The key big hitters, Ash has already put down in a nice tight summary table, and the rest of them, as you saw there from those extracts, will fill up the rest of the documents. So please get over to the knowledge base, either download that or download it from the GoToWebinar app and make that available to your colleagues. It's definitely going to be, for the areas within the Trustees Report, it would be useful for your colleagues to know as well, so they know what they can do now that this update's been applied to their file. Okay. All right. So for the last section, then, what I want us just to do is talk about the EBACs themselves. So I was going to go back and click on the agenda quickly because the agenda. Should never use the mouse roller. There we go. So it's just the applying updates to your file. So we've covered the audit report, covered the trustees report, looked at the other key areas of the updates to the report statements and notes. So the last bit really you want to discuss and talk about, show you, is the applying updates to your file. So Ash, can I bring you back in for this one, please?
You can. Hello.
Thank you very much. So as from my experience going out to clients, talking to clients, so whether it's training or webinars, it's one of the areas that there's not a lot of confidence with, which is applying updates to their file. So I thought we'd take, where we've got a bit of time, take the opportunity for you to say what the recommended best practices from CaseWare when taking these updates. So can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
So I guess the short answer is that it depends. It depends really where you are with your existing engagement file, which you want to take updates on. Obviously, in an ideal world, certainly if you're at the early stages of accounts preparation on a particular engagement, I would always recommend taking all of the updates that are available, because obviously that's the only way to make sure that you're going to be complying with all of the statutory changes, which we've also obviously sent out in whatever the most recent update might be. The thing to guard against, obviously, is if you're close to completing your engagement. What happens then? And obviously you can take particular updates on particular notes. So as you showed earlier on, there's all of those tick boxes when you are offered updates. You don't have to accept all of them. You can pick and choose which ones you want. So that's perhaps something that some clients don't necessarily pick up on.
Okay, so just to go back to that screen for anyone who didn't see earlier, or anyone that's not familiar with it, I'd be surprised if you're not familiar with it. But this is the screen that Ash is referring to then, where we've got the option to select what components of the update we want to apply. So really there, as you said, it depends what stage. If you're at the start, you've just rolled through the file, the best practice has to be to take all of these. Now, these aren't just all disclosure updates, are they? We've also got, if we scroll down to the bottom of the list there, we've got some CaseWare specific updates where we go from, take it here, the header ACPT. These ones here are all CaseWare, aren't they? Should they be taken all the time?
Yeah, there's basically always, there won't be any issues if you were to take those, no matter what stage you're at. Potentially if you're using your own sort of custom headers or things like that, custom headers, custom footers, you might want to consider about not taking header updates. But other than that, all of those other updates towards the bottom of the screen, the bottom 7 or 8 rows there, you should always be able to take those.
Now, just again, for any clients, the support calls as well, we get quite a lot of support calls from people with issues with IXBRL submissions because of the mandatory tax. And this is the reason being is because that knowledge library hasn't been updated. So the average number of employees was the recent big change. It caused a lot of support calls for us, but it also there's a lot of downtime for yourselves preparing the accounts and calling us up. So I'll take Ash's guidance there. Update the CaseWare specific ones. If you're running with custom headers, or if you're unsure because you don't know, maybe it's just a safe bet to not update the headers at a certain stage. Okay. Now, whilst we've got a little bit of time as well, I just wanted to show applying this update. Just saying, okay, we've got a little bit of time left. Also, just kind of try and remove the myth that if you are editing these notes or accounting policies, text notes specifically, that if you were to edit them and take the knowledge library update, that it would revert it back to CaseWare default. Now, I'm just waiting for my file there to update. Now, I've already prepared this, so it's nice and quick. But you can see here on the left-hand side, I've got this red line. That red line signifying that I've overridden the text in this paragraph. So if I now go through and I force that update from CaseWare, now, again, I'm not going to take all of them because I know we're a bit short on time, so I'll deselect the main bulk and just take the ones there on the basis of prep. Just take that one, press OK. And what this is going to do is you'll see CaseWare is going to be execute script and loaded, but because we've overridden that section, CaseWare knows we've updated this and we've tailored the text. Within the text notices specifically, okay? But as we come back, the update's now being applied. The red line's been removed because now it's taken the update. But you can see here that text is still there, still retained, and it's there for year 2, year 3, year 4. Because we know clients spend a lot of time tailoring these and getting them spot on for what they need for that client. So don't be afraid of taking knowledge library updates within text accounting disclosures. The way Ashley and his team designed them is that these text paragraphs will be retained on KO update. Not the same as remove and replace, but for KO update, they'll be retained now. All right, so I know we've run out of time, so let me hand you back to Tom just to see if we've got any questions that are coming, so we can answer some of those. So Tom, have we had any questions coming?
Thanks, Tony. We have got a question which I'll very quickly put to you because we're as you say, we're out of time pretty much. But it's to do with the accounting period lengths. Will short or long periods of accounts still generate the right updates or reports?
I take it we're talking about the audit report changes there. I hope so anyway. That's basically the crux of this this webinar. Yeah, it's actually driven by the period start date. So I think if it's the 15th or 15th of December period start date 2019 or later, you're going to get the new wording. If it's the 14th of December 2019 or earlier, you'll get the old wording by default.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you. Hopefully that was the yes. Thank you. Thanks for sending the question in as well. Hopefully that's the answer you're hoping for. If you need any more information, then please let us know. So as you can see on the slide here, we've got just signposting some additional resources. So our YouTube channel, as hopefully you will already be aware, houses all of our webinar recordings now, as well as lots of quick vids. So if you're not going to our knowledge base to see these, then your alternative is to go to YouTube. And we've also got our LinkedIn page, which is CaseWare Client Services, and that's where we'll let you know about latest developments within the business, but also when webinars are coming up. And here's the knowledge base, kb.caseware.co.uk, and that's where you can find previous recordings, but also all of your helpful articles. If you go to the events page of our website as well, so that's, thank you, that's caseware.co.uk/events. That's under the resources section. If you wanted to use the menu at the top, then you'll see the schedule for upcoming sessions. All the agendas are there. You can register to attend. Definitely keep an eye on that because it's being updated all the time. So you can see all of the upcoming sessions as we post them. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you, Tony and Ash. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Enjoy the sun, everyone. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.